Celeb Savant is a career retrospective type interview focusing on singers, actors, and industry experts. Join Barrett Edelstein now as he dives into the entertainment world.
Adopting his stage name to honor Sammy Davis Jr., it seemed predestined that American-born, Australian-based singer-songwriter Presley Davis Jr. would find himself immersed in the arts. Receiving his first guitar and tenor banjo at the age of 8 from his father, Presley was contracted to sing old jazz favorites 6 nights a week by the age of 17 and was touring North America by the age of 25. He was performing with different bands in different styles spanning bluegrass, blues, soul, and rock. Eventually, Presley moved to his wife's hometown of Melbourne, and during lockdown, created the Electra Trifecta project. Up next on Celeb Savant, discussing his music journey and the Electra Trifecta project, is Presley Davis Jr. Where in the world are you and how are you doing?
Well, I am in regional Victoria, Australia, just north of Melbourne, out in the country here, and it's cold. It's sunny out though, and yeah, I'm doing well.
Okay, so now let's rewind. At what age did you feel or decide, cool, you want to be in the music world, entertainment, creative world, whether as a child or teenager, and how did that journey progress to where we are today?
Right. Well, I was born into a musical family, so as a kid, I had an older brother. He and my dad played a lot together, and my older brother was pretty talented at a young age, very talented player. My dad would do gigs, shows, and fairs, festivals, pubs, and I just wanted to be up there with him. And eventually, when I got into my teens, I finally started practicing enough to get good at playing. I could sing as a kid, as a really young kid, but playing and accompanying myself was always a challenge. I was really hyperactive, so I didn't have the patience. Then in my late teens, I started playing with people and getting bands together, and I started writing music. That's probably what kicked it all off, really, was I just started getting ideas for songs. And then once that happened, I had a band. I'm an expat. I used to live in America. I had a band over there, a couple bands over there, actually. And then once that started, just taking work wherever I could get it. And eventually I met a lovely Australian lady, and here I am in Australia.
I was reading the release schedule, and you've releasing 3 albums in 3 different genres. So why did you challenge yourself to do such a big project, and why those genres?
Well, Melbourne had some of the longest lockdowns in the world, and during, I think it was the first maybe 6 months or so, they paid us to stay indoors at some point. And I thought, okay, well, we'll wait this out. And then it kept dragging on, and I thought, this could go on for a while. And also, if things go badly, there's a lot of ideas I got that I haven't accomplished, that I haven't done.
Yes.
I haven't recorded. And I thought, okay, you know what? To keep myself busy and to keep myself sane, I'm going to come up with a project. And so my idea was to just start 3 different records. And as I started them, I thought, it'd be really funny to release them all on the same day. Mainly because as a musician, if you release something and people like it, they tend to want more of that.
Yeah.
And so you end up pigeonholing yourself by accident. And you might have a lot of influences and other interests, but whatever you release and get known for, people want more of that. And so I also thought that would be a good way to avoid that, because I'm starting a solo career. I've been in bands before this, so I thought, that's a good way to avoid that. And then you won't know what to expect. It's sort of like when, Gene Wilder comes out and hobbles along and then somersaults and he's okay. You don't know what to expect for the rest of my career. I could go any which way. Those particular genres are the jazz and the country, which is that album's got several traditional sort of country songs on it, but a lot of bluegrass on it. My dad played tenor banjo and was really obsessed with old jazz, and he played it his whole life until his death. He was in a bluegrass band with my mother, though, when I was a toddler, and she played stand-up bass, and he played guitar. So those two genres to me were just, yeah, I just grew up with those in the house, and I was very comfortable inside those. The soul one was really when I was a teen. I grew up between Chicago and St. Louis, and there's a lot of great blues musicians in that area. And some of my early mentors, when I started to go play on my own, were blues players. Okay. And then that took me down the road to funk and soul, and I'm a real addict of that sort of music. I just love it, and real big Sly and the Family Stone fan, and Prince and all that. Stevie Wonder. I think I was in 7th grade. I did a paper on Stevie Wonder.
Okay.
So I was pretty obsessed. And so that's why those three genres, I thought I'll start off with my three favorites.
So you referenced that this is sort of your first solo project, and you've been in bands previously. Why did you decide to go solo? Was it just, okay, cool, the trajectory of the band world is now ending, and now it's this next logical step, or what were the thoughts behind it?
It really is about, it comes down to availability. That's what it comes down to. Yes. If you are writing all the music in a band, which has typically been my path, there's a band, and I like the group production of a band, all hands in make for easier work, but at the same time, I found myself writing, 99.8% of the music, and that's okay, to a certain degree. But then when it come to booking something, it was really, you're at the mercy of, if you've got good musicians, they're busy, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And so then it makes it easier if you can say who's available. These are the songs, who's available. And that's really what it's about more than anything, is creating a project where I can, if I get a good gig, like a great festival or an opening slot for somebody, and it falls on a bad day for a particular musician, I'm not breaking up the band by going down the list.
Yeah.
So
okay, that makes sense. You reference your writing and creation. So from 0 to 3 to 4 minutes in writing a song. What motivates it? What invigorates it? Is it easy every time? Let's unpack your creative brain.
For me, it's inspiration. So sometimes I get a song I've had several songs come to me in the shower. I've woken up from a dream several times of songs and had to get up and scribble them down. And that's probably the most important part, is I try to catch inspiration. I don't like sitting around a bowl of snacks with some drinks and 5 other writers and trying to knock out a song that sounds like somebody that we have in particular so we can sell it. That's not my bag.
Yeah.
It's got to be inspired, and it's got to be, and that means, let's say I have a verse and even the start of a chorus, but I can't get through that next chord change. I'll just leave it on the shelf and occasionally take a run at it, and just hopefully that one day inspiration hits and I feel that second part, and then I'll finish it. I rarely push anything without having that inspiration. So I have the longest I've waited 10 years.
Oh wow, that's a period of times when it's a longer focus on a song. I know you put it to rest or put it to the shelf for a period of time, but does that ever frustrate you? Like, oh, this is not happening. Or you're just like, okay, it's there. It'll come to me when it has to come to me. No,
that's not frustrating. I get a lot of ideas. So it's not frustrating at all. I'll just leave it there.
Now, I love me a CD. I still budget for my CDs every month. I love the experience of the choice. the unpacking, the booklets, the listening from song 1 to whatever number. I'm not sure if you're aware, but CDs, even cassettes and vinyls are on a massive comeback. Last year, vinyls alone in the UK, 5.9 million, the biggest since 1990. CDs now as well. In the UK, they have a bag of products that they put into the basket to gauge income tax, what's happening with the percentage of income tax. And vinyls have been in that box for a while now. And now, because of CDs are on such an upward climb, they back in the box. So it just gives an idea of what's happening in the physical world. But we also have these digital platforms where people stream music on. What are your perceptions and observations of where we're at in the landscape at the moment?
It's a real mixed bag. So I'm glad to hear that CDs and vinyl are up, and the cassettes and all that. That's fantastic. Basically, for me and for most artists, that's where we make our money. If you buy a CD, if you buy a vinyl record from us, or merch, that's where we make our money. We're not making anything from streaming services, really. That's a doorway for you to find us. And hopefully, if you're listening to us repeatedly, it dawns on you to buy a CD or a vinyl off us as well to help support us. And I know not everyone can do that, but that's my hope. And I'm glad to hear that people are buying it. Yeah, because Spotify is one of those interesting ones where it's a single-based platform. So they're really about singles and playlists. You can only promote one single every 28 days on there. So I'm dropping 3 singles at a time.
Yes.
In the lead up to this. And so that means anything I drop in conjunction with that single, I can playlist pitch one single. Anything I drop at the same time can never be playlisted. So you can't pitch it. Yeah, you can't pitch it. And I'm not sure a lot of people are aware of this. So back in the old days, any pop artist would release a couple singles and then drop their album.
Yes,
and then
exactly.
To promote sales, drop another single, maybe another single, and try it. On Spotify, you can playlist pitch a single every 28 days. And you might do that maybe 3 times before you drop your record. But when you drop your record, once all those songs go live, they cannot be playlist pitched.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Every other song on there, and then there's people say, you can get it remixed or have a special guest, or you have to find a way to make it.
That's why those things are happening, the remixes and stuff off the album. Yes. I never knew all of this, so thank you for all this information. This is interesting.
So that makes it a little bit difficult as well. And then I said something to my neighbor here. My neighbors aren't in the music biz, let's say. Yeah. And I said something. I was like, well, I'll put my stuff on Bandcamp probably to start, and then I'll trickle singles on there until I feel it's all released, and then I'll put the album up. Yeah. And then Bandcamp, it's hard to stream off there, and I was like, oh, okay. But that sort of twigged with me as well. It's like Spotify, it's in people's lives. We're not going to be able to withdraw it.
Yes.
They're so comfortable using it, and that has to be a part of your mix. You have to include it. And we're having really big discussions right now of artists pulling their work off of Spotify because it doesn't pay as well as they think it should. And I'm in that camp. It doesn't pay especially well. And they've demonetized anything under 1,000 plays. So you can imagine that if you haven't playlisted everything, playlist pitched something, the chance of it climbing above 1,000 are slim. So my suggestion to everybody is just use Spotify for what it's for, which is putting a few songs out there, let people know you're there, get your stuff in some lists, and then they can come to your website or your Bandcamp page and buy something if they need to. And then once you're onto your new project, then upload the record. But it's a really tricky landscape out there right now for musicians. But I'm glad to hear all those mediums are up. That's great.
Yeah. And what do you enjoy about performing live?
Probably just more the band, just gelling with the band and trying to get it in the pocket and it's gonna sound sort of selfish, but trying to get off, just trying to get in the flow, that flow where you forget what you're doing. And that's what I want to give the audience, is let them see us in a place of release where we are actually in the flow, and that's what you really are hoping for.
Yeah.
But it's the jam, you know. It's playing with the guys, playing with the girls, just getting up there having a good gig, I guess. And the audience, if you can do that, the audience is bound to have a good time. If you guys are having a great time, the audience is having a great time,
Yeah.
and I guess that's what motivates me.
So we know that we've got these 3 albums coming out shortly of the different genres. What is happening thereafter? Obviously, there's a lot of promotion around that, lots of singles. Are we going on tour? You know, what's happening the rest of the year next year?
Yeah, look, I'll be I'll release the records, and like I said, they'll be on Bandcamp, and I'll trickle singles onto Spotify until I've exhausted my supply there.
Yeah.
But I've got a lot. I've been writing songs while I'm working on this project. This project's taken a little while, so yeah, I've got single ideas. I'll probably drop a lot of singles, is what I'm thinking, just because that seems to be the new way to do things, and then do a collection. Once I've hit a level, I'll say, you know, this is from 2026, this is from 2027, and that might be the way forward, because it's really difficult to gauge the change in landscape out there. And look, I'd love to do some beat-based music. I'm a big Tribe Called Quest fan and De La Soul fan, and what I would like to do is take beats and then write stuff that sounds like samples.
I get you. Yes.
You know what I mean? Those bass lines. You know, Beastie Boys did that instrumental record that was really fantastic. End Sounds from Way Out, I think it was.
Yeah.
Something like that. I just love that sort of beat-based music. I want to do some of that. Probably a hard rock record. I've got some hard rock songs in my head. Some heavier stuff. Blues record goes without saying. I like a traditional Chicago blues record. I love that music. I've got songs stacked up for that. So yeah, it's I think for me, going forward as an aging musician, I guess I want to push my boundaries so that I stay excited. Because if I stay excited, then I know that the audience is going to be excited. And I think that I just keep going back to that. It's like, if you're just going through the motions on stage, people are going to know.
Exactly. So you reference songs. So I love this game. It might be challenging for you, and I know you're gauging from our discussions are going to be all over the genre map, which is perfect. I'm not saying favorite. I'm saying top of mind. And I know it'll change if I ask you this in 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and 5 years, because there are millions of them. I recognize that and understand that. So if you had to push play to 5 songs by other artists once we finish this conversation, what would those 5 songs be, and by whom?
Well, I like Ray Charles' version of Living in the City by Stevie Wonder. If you haven't heard that, that's an absolute cracker. I'll go to a country song next. I do love some older country, especially probably like Asleep at the Wheel. There's a swing country. I like, was it Choo Choo Chiboogie?
Okay.
That's ridiculous, but I like that one. I like things that make me jump, that make me swing, or make the hair on my neck stand up. One of the two. I guess Mahalia Jackson, In the Upper Room, gospel record. That track, that's got part 1 and 2. Those are amazing. Talking about I'm in awe of that.
Yeah.
Another one is Moses Sumney, Lonely World.
Okay.
He sounds like a mix of Nina Simone and Jeff Buckley when he sings. It's just wild. Where am I at?
You got one more. One more.
One more.
Yes.
Okay. Did I do any sort of bouncy jazz stuff? I'd say Leon Redbone, Walking Stick.
Okay.
There's another one.
So a few of those are not on my list, so I need to add them, so thank you. So the podcast is listened to throughout the world. As a final message, what would you like to say?
I'd just say to everybody, get out there, support live music, support your smaller tier musicians. It's a weird time for musicians. So yeah, go see a show, go buy a CD, order a CD, get online, order a CD, order a T-shirt, order a vinyl, and let's keep this going. We can expand music if we want to, or we can just, sit on our hands. I think we're at a sort of a crucial point here. Streaming, sort of dominating everything. You got to give it to get it,
Thank you for listening to this episode of Celeb Savant. Please follow Barrett on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Celeb Savant. That's CelebSavant.